Hello, and welcome back to Saint Squad Show. I'm your host, Dylan Sanders, and sometimes I call myself Lance Moore to feel cool.
I'm Ross Jackson, host of the Locked On Saints podcast, and for me, this Saturday's game is for all the marbles.
John Hendricks, New Orleans Football. Me? I know who I am. I'm a dude playing a dude disguised as another dude.
This is former Saints wide receiver Lance Moore, and I don't ever call myself Dylan Sanders.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's the Saint Squad, sponsored by Gametime. Everything New Orleans Saints, every week. Covering all the big hits and game-changing plays from down in the Big Easy, the way only Locked On Podcast Network can. Get ready and squad up. It's the Saint Squad Show, starting now.
Hello, welcome back to the Saint Squad Show, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen every Saturday this week and Thursday. We have a unique group of experts here ready to bring you a fun and informative show on everything New Orleans Saints. Today, we're going to be diving into, you guessed it, trades. The Saints have made some trades. They're looking to make a little bit more. What do we make of that? The latest on the quarterback competition. And other players that really need to step it up because I don't know if y'all know this, but this is the last Saints preseason game coming up this Saturday, and there's a lot to do.
Never heard
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Jumping in today, we have football, but before we talk about that, the Saints made a trade at wide receiver. I think it's a pretty big one, pretty important one, and a pretty important move. Let's start with Lance. Did you think a move at wide receiver was necessary? Do you like the move that they made? Did they give up too much? Did they not give up enough? What do you think?
Well, did they not give up enough? We could just eliminate that out of the equation right now. I mean, obviously, the four of us talk, throughout the week, and we talk about the latest things that are happening via the Saints. And obviously, when this trade went down, we talked about it. And my first response was a fourth-round pick. Like, that to me is like, oh man, that I don't necessarily know that I like it. Good player, a big receiver, which is what everybody, most people have been saying that the Saints have lacked in this particular group. So he fits that mold. He's 6'5", he's rangy, he's long. He's really good in contested catches, which is, I think, something that this group could use a little bit of. He's getting ready to be 28 years old, and he's only going into a second year. So, I want to call him a young player, but he's really not like a super young player. So I'm hot and cold on it. Obviously, I think he fits a need for us, but I wish that the price that we paid to get him was a little bit lower. And that look, I'm hesitant. If I'm the GM of the Saints, I'm hesitant to make these types of moves this late into the preseason, right? Like, we're ending the preseason, and most of these teams have mostly figured out what their rosters are going to look like. And I don't want to answer a question that I'm going to answer later, but I just think that the availability of a lot more guys is going to come very, very soon. And I'm not saying that this is a bad move or a terrible move or one that they're going to regret. Like, I do like the player. I think he's a really good player and couldn't be really good in this offense. But I do think that the price that we paid was just a little bit too high. If it was 2 7th-round picks, a 6 and a 7, and maybe even a 5th and a 7, I could sleep a little bit better. But giving up a 4th-round pick next year, especially considering where this team is predicted to finish, like, that's going to be a pretty good pick. So it's unfortunate that was, the price that we had to pay, but hopefully Devaughn comes in and balls out and nobody's even thinking about what we had to give up to get him.
Yeah, I mean, there is a chance where he comes in and is immediately the third best receiver on this team, or third most productive, I'll say, on this team, just because of what he does compared to everyone else. And no one even thinks about it. But, in a team so early into the rebuild, giving up a 4th-round pick is a lot because you think like Quincy Riley was a 4th-round pick. There's been plenty of 4th-round picks recently that Danny Stutzman that come in and they produce. So like we're giving up next year's Quincy Riley and Danny Stutzman at this point or Danny Stutzman, I'll say, to have have Devaughn Vele. But I think it's a role in this team that needed filled. Ross, what do you think?
Yeah, look, I thought it was a high price to pay as well. In trying to look at it from the other perspective and kind of try to project where the team might be, there were a couple of things that stood out to me. This past 2025 draft with Danny Stutzman and Quincy Riley, this was a draft that was uniquely good in the middle of the draft. And so maybe the Saints who have already been scouting that 2026 class might know, like, hey, it's not as good there. Like, you look back to the previous 10 drafts, 2015 through 2024, and the Saints have traded away that 4th round pick 5 times. They've only picked in the 5th round or in the 4th round in 5 of those years, half of the time. That one of those they had 2 4th round picks, Nick Saldiveri and Jay Kaner. And their track record in the 4th round hasn't been super impressive. Let's be real. That includes Rick Leonard, but that includes also hits like David Onyemata and CJ Gardner-Johnson. So you're kind of hot and cold there. And this is just Ross being Ross. Somebody hit me with a number that, well, there were 90 Pro Bowlers in the last 10 years that were drafted in the 4th round, but that's out of 527 players. That's a 17% chance to land a Pro Bowler, not an all-pro player, but a Pro Bowler. So I feel like the Saints might have just been comfortable saying, you know what, if there was it sounds like there was another team that was kind of, involved in this trade too. And so that maybe is what hiked the price up a bit for Devaughn Vele. But I think what you're getting from him, if you're able to go out there and get him the production, to Lance's point, you won't even be thinking about that 4th round pick by the time that the 4th round pick rolls around or shortly after. Vele had 3 touchdowns last year, 1 from 3 yards, 1 from 6, and the other from 6. They were all red zone touchdowns. 75.9% catch rate when thrown to last year. Like, this is a perfect player to add at the wide receiver position as a 4th or 5th, maybe 3rd in terms of rotation based on him being a bigger body guy. We'll see how it rolls for him, but a great player to add for a young quarterback, right? We've talked about like the big bodied tight end and everything, but the big bodied wide receiver certainly helps there too. When you can take a 1st and 10 and turn it into a 2nd and 4, and you're able to operate ahead of the sticks that way, which the Saints have struggled to do for years now. That's where I think that a guy like Vele could absolutely help you out. So yeah, the price was a little high, but I think there's enough to justify the thinking behind it as long as the production comes with the move.
Yeah, I like that. And it's not crazy production, but it is production that I think you have to have for this wide receiver 3 or whatever. John, what do you think of the trade on the surface?
I mean, I think we got to start and say there is no guarantee they get a comp pick, right, for Paulson and Debo, because that's the biggest thing that's been thrown out. Depends on Ike Yadam's playing time. So there is no, well, they could get this 4th round pick. No, that's not a guarantee or anything. So let's start there. The second thing I'd say is it's very interesting that they've been this active, because you got to remember, not to get off topic, but trading Colin Saunders just hours after the game to pick up an offensive lineman. And so now you have another one, and now they're rumored to be in the market for running back. So I'm kind of like, I'm gonna pull a Lance Moore here. What are we doing here? Right? Like, I get trading, but are we making these moves to say, let's push in the competition a little bit more because we think we can be better? Are we trying to build for the future a little bit more? Because I think Vele is a nice option to have. Everybody's got to remember, Chris Olave is going to a 5th-year option right now. Rashid Shaheed is in a contract year, right? And you got Brandon Cooks for a couple of years. And so you look at the wide receiver room, Donovan Peoples-Jones going out of there. That's not really that surprising. He had a very underwhelming camp and such, but now do you give that last spot to Mason Tipton or Cedric Wilson Jr., which, I mean, Ross, we've talked about it. Cedric Wilson Jr. seems to be a Kellen Moore favorite, but you can't risk Mason Tipton going through waivers. And, they've got 4 receivers on this roster now. And it's just kind of interesting. I just think, look at it in that aspect of, the big body guy, you could have went to free agency and signed somebody if you wanted to without having to give up future assets. I mean, it's not like it's the cream of the crop, but an interesting trade to pull off at this point, and having to give up a 4th round, like Dylan said, that got you Quincy Riley and Danny Stutzman this year, and 2 players that could potentially end up being starters for you. this season. And Stutzman could be a starter for you next year if he's not this year. Same thing with Quincy Riley. So I'm a little bit interested in seeing what the logic is behind it. Now, we're probably not going to get too much on that and what it reveals, but a big bodied guy, somebody that comes in, but where in this process, and there's also some injury concern there with the player, right? And so this could blow up in their face. The Saints typically just don't win trades. Like, they always have to send something back or pay more. But again, it's in the eyes of the beholder. Everybody can go run on Madden. They can bring in their own GM hat and stuff. There's only one GM of the Saints, the only one that matters. That's all that they care about, right? But I'm a little bit concerned of why giving up a fourth. And if Vele balls out this year, that's a good thing. But that's a lot of mouths to feed on a team that's going to be probably a run-first team that's built that way for the offensive line. I don't know. Just a few things, points.
I think to your point about Cedric Wilson Jr., I think Vele kicks Cedric Wilson Jr. off the boat a little bit.
Should
you know
I think, but
yeah. 69.5% of his snaps came from the slot last year. The big thing that Cedric Wilson Jr. would have been was kind of a big slot at 6'1", 197. Now you've got a 6'4", 210 guy that could be your big slot. That's where I feel like. So I'm agreeing with you that I think that like now your decision becomes between Mason Tipton and Cedric Wilson Jr. because clearly Vele is making your roster if you shelled out the fourth rounder for
100%.
Yeah,
I mean?
yeah.
Like he's clearly making your roster. And so now the conversation comes there. But I think Mason Tipton probably becomes like, I'm spoiling my 53-man roster projection a little bit, but that's okay. I think that's kind of where I see it.
I'm sorry, Dylan. The only one thing I wanted to add on this right quick is I wonder too if this has to do with some of the deficiencies at tight end too, because I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I know that it's very underwhelming there. I don't think Foster Moreau is anywhere close to hitting a field anytime soon, right? And there's no Taysom Hill in there. So Juwan Johnson is one guy. You know, they like to use him second, third levels and such. Is Vele going to give him that kind of option or something? I don't know. Just spitballing. Sorry, Dylan.
Oh, you're good. I want to throw out these numbers. 41 catches, 470 yards, and 3 touchdowns. If Devaughn Vele comes in and does that, is that worth a 4th-round pick in next year's draft?
Yes.
Again.
Absolutely.
Unequivocally,
absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And
there's only...
Go ahead.
In the last 10 years, 2015 through 2024, there's only been 4 4th-round wide receivers that have done that have had 470 or more yards in their rookie season. And so if you equate giving up a 4th-round pick to getting a 4th-round wide receiver, I know he's a 7th-round wide receiver in reality, but you know what you're giving up versus what you're getting, it puts him in the upper echelon of production over the course of the last 10 years at the position at that round in their first year. And he's still got 3 years left on his contract, including this year. So and that was one of the big things that Kellen Moore continued to kind of discuss during today's presser, to where he was kind of discussing like, yeah, he's somebody that we see as being a part of our future as long as things pan out. So I think all that kind of fits in there with those numbers, Dylan.
Yeah. Liz, what do you think about him coming in? Do you think his age is an issue in this, or is, he's 27, he can still come in and have a couple of years of, if these next 3 years he's going to be 31 still producing, I don't think it's that crazy,
No, I mean, I think that, having him for 3 years is a good thing. I don't think that he's like old and over the hill. I just think for a player going into his second year, he's old as what, right? Like it's rare. I mean, he's older than Chuck. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I mean, something that I was thinking about a little bit was it's very, very rare that a good player gets traded before his second season. So in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, why would they trade him? Like, I understand that they've got some good young wide receivers in that receiver room in Denver, but like it makes me think that there's a little bit more to this injury, his knee injury, than what I think is openly out there. Not to say that they're like trying to get over or fleece us, but I think that maybe they even know that like, okay, this is something that he's going to have to just monitor all the time and he can play through it. But we've got younger guys, we've got healthier guys. We're going to roll with these guys. I mean, because that's a decent amount of productivity that they just got rid of. I know that they can replace it, especially in a Sean Payton style offense. but I'm a little bit skeptical, if I'm being honest. Like, I do like the player if he's healthy.
What does it take to pass a physical, and does that tell us enough?
That's a good question.
Or would you still have concern around that, Lance?
I think a physical. Now, I was never traded in my career, but I changed teams enough that I've been through the process, but I never went through that process with any kind of previous injury, like, major injury the season before. I would imagine it's a little more strenuous of a physical that he's going to get before this trade is made official. I mean, and who knows what happens if our doctor fails him, because it's our doctor.
Well, more said he passed it. More said he passed
did pass
it. So
okay,
So he's good from that perspective. And that's
yeah,
why I asked,
and honestly, I don't know.
Is that enough to really know?
No, you won't know long term. No, I mean, if he passed the physical, the trade is going through. So it's I don't know. I mean, the jury is obviously still going to be out, but hopefully he's good to go.
Yeah. Thank you for answering that. I don't know how strenuous those are. And so this was a good opportunity to kind of figure out, like, oh, does this really tell you anything that he
I mean, I would imagine they gave him an MRI on his knee, and the doctor definitely took a look at the MRI and evaluated him to make sure that it's good to go. But beyond that, it's not like they're going to make him go through a workout before they make the trade go through. Like, you're going to see a doctor. The doctor's going to do a couple different tests and measurements on you. And that's going to be pretty much the end of it. So all right. They cannot work guys out in a trade. Like, it doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. If you're a free agent, you're a street free agent, they can bring you in and work you out. But if you're trying to trade, it's the physical situation that's going to help the trade go through or not.
Cool. A quick question just before we move on. We talked about, that 475 yards being a solid value for a third wide receiver. When do y'all think the last time a Saints wide receiver had third wide receiver had at least 475 yards?
That has to
be
a few
years ago. I mean, I was going to say Willie Snead era, like Willie Snead, Michael Thomas.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. There might have been past that. I would say,
when's the last time
Ted
that
Ginn
Snead
Jr.?
Cooks? Oh, good call.
Michael Thomas.
It was 2016.
Dang, I was about to say 2015.
Brandon Coleman. Was that?
It was Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, and then Willie Snead had 895 yards as the third leading receiver, which is crazy. Colby Fleener had 631 as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Brandon Coleman was.
When's the last time Colby Fleener got a shout out?
5 minutes
Take it
ago.
back. Take it back.
Every time me and my friends are trying to name the most random player we can think of, Colby Fleener comes to mind every time.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't think most random. That's a good question. That's another topic for another day. Most random.
Yes. But we've talked a lot about the Devaughn Vele trade. The Saints might not be done making trades. We'll talk a little bit about that coming up next. August 26th, get that in your brains, August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day. It's a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches every year. I think the Saints are going to go 17-0, and that's my hunch. So let's see if I can make some money on that this year. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you, the listener, deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, the New Orleans Saints, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. So take a flyer on the MVP race. I'm talking your Joe Burrows, Lamar Jacksons, Josh Allens, Spencer Rattlers, anybody?
Stop.
Or maybe you can crown your champion in August like I am, the Buffalo Bills. Or you can even parlay your division winners, your MVPs, into crazy dark horse bets. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your future bets now, because FanDuel Futures Day is one day and one day only. That's August 26th. I'm going to quiz y'all at the end of the show. You better remember. So FanDuel, play your game. Locked On Saints. Download now. Futures Day is coming up soon. All right. The Devaughn Vele trade is done, but the Saints might not be done making trades. They've been in the conversations for maybe some running backs. There's some other spots on the team. Let's start with Ross. If there was one spot on this team where you think that they could come up with another trade, you think they should make another trade, where would it be and why?
I don't think they should make any more trades. I think they should be done with the trade conversation. I think that they're finished. I don't think there's any reason for it. I don't think there's going to be any player that you're going to be able to trade for at, let's say tight end, right? Where they could use a little bit more help while their guys are getting healthy. Who are they going to trade for that's really going to move the needle for them? Goose egg. Running back, who are you going to give up value for in order to be able to get? There's guys out there, right? Travis Etienne has been rumored. Brian Robinson has been rumored. The advantage to those guys is that the rumor's already out there, and therefore the market is going to respond appropriately. So maybe that's a place where you could trade a future something to get that player, as opposed to giving up a 2026 third round pick next. And so I think maybe that's a spot where you can go. But all in all, I think the Saints should stay away from the trade market unless they're trying to avoid just cutting players and have the opportunity to trade somebody in order to get some value back. I don't know that they have a lot of those players that would be able to get value back right now, but they could go that route. They did it years ago. It was the defensive tackle, Davro Lawrence, that they traded at the cut down to the Browns, I think. Talk about a random player. I remember that one for some reason.
Yep.
Malcolm Brown also getting traded to the Jags, like things like that. Like I could see little things like that, but outside of that, leave the trade market alone. Go with what Lance said. You're going to have your opportunity to scour that waiver, that waiver front. Once all those players get released, you've got, I don't remember what the number is, but it's almost, what is it, like over 1,000 players to get cut on cut down day?
900 plus on August 26th. So there's going to be 900 new free agents to choose from. Now, obviously, you don't just get to pick whoever you want, right? You have to put a waiver claim in for guys. And based on our record last season, we're going to be pretty high up there on the priority list.
Should have a good waiver situation here.
So, like, I mean, I don't know if it was my turn or not, Dylan, but I'm jumping in because I'm on the same page as Ross. Like, I just you don't make any more trades as far as giving up compensation. But to your point, if somebody calls on somebody on our team where we've got a little bit of depth and we can get some compensation back and maybe not even a player, and that opens up a roster spot, like I'd be for that type of thing. But where are we super deep on this roster? Like, I mean, obviously the Saints organization is not one that's relaying or divulging a bunch of inside information about who they might be looking to trade and move and all that stuff. So we wouldn't know anyway. But still, if you look at the roster, if you're looking at, okay, this position's got a couple extra guys, maybe we can move this guy here, this guy there. I feel like most teams are pretty set. Like, sure, there's going to be a couple of, kind of, I'm not going to call them desperation moves, but there's going to be a couple late moves that teams think that they have to make because maybe they had a better record in the last season and they know that there's no way that a guy is going to go through all of the however many teams will be land in front of them as far as the waiver wire goes. And basically, for those who don't know, the team with the worst record has first option and it goes on from there. So, like,
it's basically the same as the draft order, right? Is that right?
Same as the draft order. Same exact as the draft order. Yep. So if a guy gets cut, and who was the first pick? Tennessee, and Tennessee claims a player, Tennessee's getting that player. Nothing that anybody else behind them can do about it. But you still put the waiver claims in because you never know what each team is going to do. And if you're lucky enough to get one of your guys, then so be it. And if guys clear waivers, then they become free agents. And then that's a whole different free agency negotiation type thing. But usually those guys are signing for the minimum because there's, they're not high priority free agents at that point. Yeah. But I agree with you, Ross. I'm not making any more trades unless it's something, a player going out to get some sort of compensation back.
Yeah. I mean, and ideally a player that you already haven't restructured. I'm seeing a lot of people talk about Pete Werner. That's like $14 million in dead money. I don't think the Saints are going to take that on right now, but it would have to be a player that makes sense financially.
Yeah. I mean, Just being honest, like the Saints aren't a Chad Muma away from being a contending team. So be careful about who they need to. I think like a move for like a Devaughn Vele is a little bit different because you do have like a couple years of control over him. You like what he does. It's a little bit different. These cut candidates, they're probably in their last year. There's not a ton of people that are going to be on the move in the next couple of weeks that I think are like, man, that guy could turn the Saints into a competing team. Now, like if Joe Burrow gets cut, yeah, sure, make a call, but that's not going to happen, obviously. John, what do you think? Where would you pick to make a trade? Do you think they should just completely stay away? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd probably say stay away. I guess I'm just trying to make sense of why are they looking at a running back? Why would they be doing that in the first place?
Yeah,
right?
That's the big thing.
Alvin, Kendre Miller. Okay. Maybe Devin Neal with his injury and stuff that set him back. Maybe he lands on IR. I don't know. That's something. But you've got Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Cam Akers, and I feel like Velus Jones Jr. should be on this team.
Mm-hmm.
So you can bring Clyde Edwards-Helaire or Cam Akers back on your practice squad because you can have up to 6 veterans on your practice squad, right? So
yep.
I just don't know what the benefit is of saying, let's go trade for a running back. Like, I just don't understand, because if you're saying, well, it's to upgrade the 1-2 punch, I feel like I've seen a pretty good bit of things from Kendre Miller to feel good about him. I feel like Alvin Kamara is going to be just fine. So unless there's something wrong there with one of those two guys, then I don't understand why you make the play for a Brian Robinson or a Travis Etienne. I know this team was interested in Nick Chubb way back then. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I just don't know why. And that's why I was wondering about the Vele move. I get trading Colin Saunders. They were deep at the defensive tackle. So you could flip that for offensive lineman. That makes sense. But trading future assets to get a wide receiver, a big-bodied guy, okay. But now you're going to go trade for a running back? Like, I just don't get that one necessarily. And Taysom Hill, I mean, if he does come back this season, you know, it's not going to be for a couple months at best case. So I feel like that would boost your run game too. So can you hold out for a couple of months and then let your run game if it's not that good? But the offensive line's also had some problems staying healthy. So that's never a good thing here. But I just don't understand why trading for a running back at this point. You could kind of wait. You could see how things play out. There is going to be a team that's going to be desperate to offload somebody, or they're just going to cut them, because a lot of teams will say, hey, yes, we want to trade this guy, put him on a block, and then nothing ever materializes. He gets released, and then it's a free-for-all who gets him. So I don't understand why they would trade for somebody on the running back.
I'm super curious about how the report around the Saints calling that had to come from another team, that had to come from a team that maybe was receiving the phone call, because the Saints haven't let anything out of their building this offseason. Like, Derek Carr retiring, no one expected. Tyrann Mathieu retiring, some people in the league expected, but out in the media did not expect. You look at they were really sewed up in the draft, even though they made all 9 selections. They've done a very good job keeping everything inside the building. So it had to be some other team that told that helped out the report that the Saints were calling about a running back. But I wonder how much of it is just, hey, can we get better at the position? Can we get on the phone, see who's available? What would it take? Can it be better? Because I agree with you. I think Kendre Miller has been kind of the standout rusher for me so far, because we haven't seen Alvin Kamara yet. Hopefully we'll get our opportunity to see him on Saturday. But outside of that, I get the idea that they might be trying to find somebody that can maybe make them better, but I don't know how serious that is. I'm curious about how much of that is almost, I don't know. Do you call a team and say, hey, do you have somebody that you're willing to trade at the running back position? We're interested in this guy. What do you think? Just to see if they would be willing to talk to you, because it identifies to you that they might get cut. I don't know. There's a couple different things that I think could be kind of possibilities here in terms of mining for information. But John, I agree with you. I don't see any reason to go and actually do it. I get the idea of making the phone calls and surveying the market, some of that, but I'm with you. I don't think it's necessary.
And how much is this going to move the needle? I just
right.
the Vele.
Right.
I don't know it's going to add any wins to your team. Even in trading for a running back, what is it going to mysteriously add wins to your team? I just don't know. That's the thing is, I just looking at the big picture, and Vele, again, I can see that playing out for the next couple of years. It's nice, assuming his medicals and he holds up with his knee. That's a little bit concerning. But a running back, I don't know. It's crazy to me.
But check in. It really. really makes me intrigued into how they view this year and what their plan is in terms of like winning immediately. How long do they want to win? Do they even view this as any bit of a rebuild? It's just so interesting to be adding to this team at this stage and investing so much into it. Because you add Devaughn Vele, you're like, it seems like a team that's like wants to win games because like they're adding a key piece, but also everyone's like, please don't win games. We need to be bad. So there's a disconnect somewhere. I'm really interested to see where that comes this year, because again, if you have 3 wide receivers for the next 3 years, I think you're fine with giving up a 4th rounder. It's just weird. I didn't expect the Saints to be buyers in the weeks leading.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, that's just nothing.
It's just really weird. But enough about people that aren't on the team right now. Let's move on and talk a little bit about the last game that's coming up in a couple of days. We're gonna come back and talk about players that really need to have a good game, and you'll probably hear a lot of quarterback talk if I'm just being completely honest with myself.
Nah, it doesn't matter.
Most people can't name all their investments, financial accounts, or even what they're worth, whether it's 401ks, properties, investments, 27-year-old wide receivers entering their 2nd year in the NFL. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. And that's why there is Monarch Money. I like to call it my own personal Kai Harley. And guess what? This one truly exists. It's an all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface, either on your phone or on your laptop. Monarch Money does the heavy lifting for you. You can link all your accounts in minutes, see clear data visuals, and get smart categorization on your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. I needed an app to tell me, Dylan, stop buying packs on Madden. You don't need that limited Tyrann Mathieu. And, it's up to you to listen. I don't always listen to it, but, they try their best. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use code LOCKEDONNFL at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with code LOCKEDONNFL. That's code LOCKEDONNFL. All right, there's a Saints game on Saturday. John, who's it against?
It's the Broncos.
There we go. You can say it now and be completely right.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the Broncos. And
Boise State, right?
Maybe.
Right. Yeah, Boise State Broncos.
I mean,
I'd play on the blue field. Why not?
Yeah.
Smurf turf.
Smurf turf.
No, they're playing the Denver Broncos. Sean Payton back in the Superdome. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But while we're having fun watching it, there's gonna be a lot of people who it's a very important game for in terms of, well, do they have a spot on the roster this year? Do they have a spot in the starting lineup? There's still things to be decided entering the last game. And let's go over our one guy who really needs to have a big game. I'm going to start off with Ross.
I mean, should we all quickly say the one player we all know absolutely has to have a big game here?
Yeah,
that would be
that quarterback
Spencer Rattler. Like we can all agree.
My pick was not going to be the quarterback, but because it's just too obvious, it's low hanging fruit. It's got to be one of the quarterbacks.
Yeah,
we've gone a wild amount of time without talking about quarterbacks here, and so and especially knowing that that's like the biggest story here. I'll take the low hanging fruit for sure. This has to be a huge game for Spencer Rattler. I won't steal all the thunder because I think there are other people who are going to want to say some stuff about this, but like this is the game that's for all the marbles in the quarterback competition. That's very much what this is set up to feel like at this point, with training camp, joint practice, 2 preseason games, those preseason games being very, very close between those two in terms of like just numbers wise, statistics and everything. Like, have y'all seen the statistics of both these quarterbacks for the first 2 games?
Yeah, very identical.
Like
it's like
it's insane. Like Yeah, once 25-35, once 24-34, 252, 231, one touchdown, one reception, one touchdown, one reception. Like, it's insane how close they are. And so if you incorporate all of training camp, then I think that moves Spencer Rattler slightly ahead. But I think that this game, this is a big time opportunity here. And he's got to be the one that they're going to play starters, Kellen Moore said today. And so with that, Spencer Rattler is the only quarterback that's guaranteed, because he's starting, to get the reps with those starters. He's seen 2 career snaps, including all of his preseason games and regular season games, with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed on the field at the same time. Those are the 2 first dropbacks, excuse me, not snaps, dropbacks. It was the first 2 dropbacks against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year before Chris Olave got knocked out in that game and took that hard hit. And so, like, that to me is the biggest thing that this game is. It's an opportunity for Spencer Rattler to go out there and win the starting job. That's the way that I look at Saturday's game. So I have to lead off with him.
I don't
disagree.
Yeah, and I would just ask, like, and I'm sorry, Jill, I'm not trying to take your stuff, but like,
good.
What is it going to take for out of Spencer Rattler, for us to feel like, yes, he is absolutely the guy? Like, I only expect maybe 2 or 3 series, probably. Does he have to come away with points with that? Does he have to lead 1 touchdown drive? And we're like, all right, we're good. What is it? What's that going to look like?
Yeah, Can I steal something that Lance said way, way, way back when we started this show? When he said, competent quarterback play. That's it. I think that's
look the part. Look the part.
Yep. That's it.
Don't he doesn't have to be. I don't think he has to be Superman. I don't think he has to go out there and have a world beater like performance. I think he's got to be solid. I think he's got to look in control. I think I truly believe he's got to take care of the football. He's got to look like a starting quarterback in the NFL. He can't go out there and look like a guy that's hoping to win a job, because usually the guys that are hoping ain't winning anything. You got to go take the job. And I think being the leader on the field, the extension of Kellen Moore on the field, getting the guys in and out of the huddle, getting the guys to the line of scrimmage, getting the calls made, getting you into the right and proper play. Like, he's got to do those things. Then he's got to operate, right? He's got to make plays for sure. He's got to stay out of harm's way. Clearly, doesn't want to get beat up out there. We've got regular season games coming up. But he's got to move the ball now, for sure. Yeah. And he's got to move the ball down the field a little bit. He's hopefully score. I don't know that it's necessary that he's got to go down and drive for a touchdown or else. But I do think the fact that he's playing with the 1s and Shuck is playing with the 2s could be an advantage for Shuck if Spencer Rattler doesn't play well. Right? Yep. If Spencer Rattler 100%. Does not play well, and then Shuck is going in and playing against the second or maybe even third phase, which Sean Payton always says. He doesn't say string, he says phase. Third phase defense. It could be, I mean, Shuck could look like an all-pro potentially against a number 3 defense. You know what I mean? Which, I mean, he hasn't yet. But I just think that he's got to look like the starter. And I think we all know what that looks like. It's hard to put into
quantify
words or quantify, but I do think that he's got to look like the job is his already. That in my opinion, that's what it's gonna take for him to go and eventually be named the starter.
Yeah. I was going to jump with the second name because my pick wasn't Spencer Rattler. There's going to be some people I feel like in the comments surprised to hear me say this, but I think the one that needs to have a great game on Saturday is kind of looking like Tyler Shuck, because this coaching staff, calling a spade is clearly, in my opinion, giving Tyler Shuck every chance possible to go out and win this job. Give us a reason to start you. You're that second round pick. You're the rookie. You're the high potential guy. Give us every opportunity or every reason to go out and may name you the starter. But he truly hasn't. He hasn't looked hasn't looked like world beating or like, man, I feel like I feel great naming you the starter. He's had moments. He's had flashes, but he's also had bad moments. There's never been a moment in this season or this preseason where I'm like, man, Tyler Shuck is the guy for week 1. I've kind of leaned to him at times just because he is the more high potential or the more unknown or the more exciting option. But there hasn't been a moment where I'm like, man, I feel great about the starting quarterback competition if Tyler Shuck is the starter on week 1. So I feel like he also, just as much as Spencer Rattler, needs to have a great game on Saturday, because this game, this job truly doesn't feel decided yet. I feel, there's people being like, man, maybe it's a smoke screen. Maybe they know and they're just not telling anybody. I truly don't think that they know yet. It's anyone's game. I think Spencer Rattler obviously needs a big job, needs a big day on Saturday. But Tyler Shuck just as much needs to have a big day, because it feels like at this point, if they both come out and have a terrible day on Saturday, we're going to have not a fun show right after. But also, it feels like the default, if they both come out and disappoint, it would still be Spencer Rattler's job.
Yeah. I agree with that. I think it's in pencil right now. It's not in pen.
Yeah.
And the thing is, for Rattler, I mean, this is not a surprise. And again, even if he is the starter, when he is the starter, how long? Like, how long does it go? If he can go the first several games, I know people like, it's a tough slate that whoever starts is going to have a tough time. It's the Cardinals, it's the 49ers, the Seahawks on the road, and the Bills on the road. So that is not really going to be and I don't mean any disrespect, but for Tyler Shuck to go walk into Seattle and go play and have an operation go that smoothly, I just don't see it happening right off the bat. Same thing in Buffalo, but I think with Spencer Rattler, you get some of that. I do like what both of you guys have said about the command of the huddle. I think that's been what's encouraging to me. Is I think the fundamentals have kind of been there for both quarterbacks, is that you don't see them getting sluggish out of the huddle. They don't have to use a timeout. They're not worrying about delay games and stuff. I think that speaks a little bit more volume to me of where each quarterback is at. And look, it's not going to be set in stone when they do name the starter. It's just going to be a matter of time. And if Spencer Rattler can hold on to this and he is the starter, it's just going to be a matter of him. Is he going to stay the starter, right? It's going to be up to him, because he may never relinquish it if he is named the starter. And same thing could happen to Tyler Shuck. But I feel like this is going back to kind of what we've said months and months and months in the making, that we believe that Spencer Rattler was going to be the starter in week 1. We just don't know how long it's going to last at this point. It's all tracking, but it is a close competition. We know that.
Yeah. A lot of people have been saying, like, play the first 4 games, see how that goes. If they go over 4, start the other guy. But also, it really does feel like, imagine you're Spencer Rattler, you finally get that shot. Your first 4 games are against the Cardinals, 49ers, at Seahawks, at Bills. They're like, man, well, you're not winning games. You're never going to make it in the NFL. It's like, well, these are like the hardest teams and situations to play. It's just such a hard decision to make, no matter what happens.
Yeah. I don't know that I would have picked him to go anything other than 0-4 with just about any quarterback right now. It's not just the quarterback position, right? Like, the quarterback would have to make up for the deficiencies of everything else on the roster. I think the defense is going to be a little bit better than we expected it to be earlier than we expected it to be, but that doesn't mean in the first 4 games. And so I think that, like, that's the thing with this, is I don't think you go run away from whichever quarterback you pick if they go 0-4 through the first 4. I think you give them more games after that. Kellen Moore seems to be indicating that by saying that they're going to rally around that guy and put their full weight of support behind him. But I don't think you're going to make that decision after the first 4 games, given your competition and given the fact that, like, it's not just up to your quarterback position if you win or lose those games. There's a lot of other stuff that's not working there. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, you're going to have to score points. You're going to have to score points.
Yeah.
You got Kyler Murray. Yeah. You got Brock Purdy, Kyle Shanahan. You got Clint Kubiak, and it's Sam Darnold, right? And the Seahawks are definitely a little bit better offensively, I feel like. And then you got Josh Allen. You're going to have to contend with those teams and put up points on the board, or you're going to have a defense that's coming to play. And what if they can get both, great. But the best case scenario, I think, there is they split, somehow split those 4 games. But I don't know. I might see only one win possible out of that entire thing.
Well, John or Lance, did y'all have anyone that came to mind that wasn't a quarterback that needs to have a big day on Saturday? John.
I got a couple, but I'll just put this one out. I'll put Christian Boyd out there. I'm just going to put one.
Great.
Christian Boyd is my guy that I think, with him trading away Colin Saunders, paves the door wide open for Christian Boyd. Kind of didn't have the game he wanted against the Jaguars after having a nice start against the Chargers. now it's wide open for you, man. And so I do like the fact that Mason Tipton heard my challenge last week and showed up. So I definitely will pat myself on the back. But Christian Boyd, this is the time to take it, man. Like, you've got a golden opportunity to come in here and solidify a roster spot on the defensive line. I don't know if Jonathan Bullard is a guy that is absolutely a shoo-in. I think he could be somebody we're like, all right, we want to bring you back on the practice squad, all that other stuff. But I think for Christian Boyd, some of his growth that he has shown off and playing in this system is way more comfortable. I think he's the guy that has to bring it to make sure that they feel confident about going with somebody like him over a Jonathan Bullard potentially. But I think that whenever you look at this defense, they got to be stout against the run. There's a lot of things that encompassing here and get after the quarterback. I think Christian Boyd can do both of those things. And so I think he's somebody that absolutely has to bring it on Sunday or Saturday. Not Sunday. Sunday's good too.
I like that. And I mean, since we're not sticking to the rules here, I'm going to go every single tight end not named Jawan Johnson, Taysom Hill.
Yes. I was going to name.
And every single edge rusher not named Carl Granderson, Chase Young, and Cam Jordan. All those guys.
Yeah.
But deal
like,
Diggs,
this is your opportunity, right? Like, go ahead and solidify your spot because both of those positions need depth. And this is going to be your last possible opportunity to get that to make the initial 53-man roster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, Dylan. My other two, like the other guys, I was going to say it was between Isaiah Stallbird and Jalen Ford. That's the other thing. I think Stallbird's the more strong presence on special teams, which might just net him a roster spot. But Jalen Ford, I think he's been playing pretty well out there, and so I think with the defense,
it's hard. That's a hard decision to make.
It is so hard because I feel like Nephi Sewell is going to be there. I feel like DeMarco Jackson would be. That'd be interesting if they kept Jalen Ford and Isaiah Stallbird over somebody like a DeMarco Jackson. But they got to find out and say, can Isaiah Stallbird be that comfortable guy that they feel like putting on defense in the event they don't have some of the guys that are ahead of him? But those would be the other ones I was going to say.
I agree with both of those. Now, guys, I'm not going to do any spoilers or anything, but one of us hosts is being compared to a current Saints wide receiver, and we're going to coming up next. I'm going to tell you which player and which host is getting compared. Coming up right after this. It's John.
Surprise!
Gotcha.
I didn't know I played.
Wrong sport. There's been a lot of talk. It's a guy we've talked a lot about, but there's been a lot of talk on Saints Twitter, especially over the past couple of weeks, that Mason Tipton is the next Lance Moore. And I feel like there's no better show to talk about that than us. Because we have one Lance Moore on the show. So, Lance, I want to start with you. What do you think about the comparison? Do you agree? And how does it feel to be compared to, you're starting to get compared to these new Saints? Give me your thoughts on the situation.
Yeah, I mean, every time I talk Saints football, people are like, hey, we need another Lance Moore. Like, we've been missing that type of player for all these years. Like, we need somebody that plays like you. Well, first and foremost, Mason Tipton and I don't play the same. Right. Like, he's a speedster, right? He's a downfield guy. Like, he catches deep balls. Like, I did a little bit in my career, but I was more of like the possession type of guy. Catch the ball in between the hashes a lot. Third down, red zone. Like, that was kind of my role. But what I do see similarity wise is a guy that has been really, really good in preseasons and training camps, a guy that was undrafted, a guy with lighter skin, and a guy
the light skin.
Similar number, right? He's 15. I was 16. And he's carving out a little bit of what do you want to call it? A fan group, I guess, behind him because he's been so good through training camp and the preseason, and a guy that I think they're hoping can be another addition to this offense this year. I love the comparisons. I think we're different types of players. He's fast, super fast. I was super quick. Like, we're different in the way that we play. But having another smaller statured light-skinned receiver that can go and make plays. Yeah, for sure. I see that for sure. But I love the kid. He's super humble. He works hard. He's super confident, and I'm happy to see that he was able to stay healthy throughout this training camp and to show what he can really do in these preseason games. Hopefully that continues on into the regular season. Hopefully they find a role for him that's, not just a play here or there on offense. Hopefully he becomes a regular player in this offense. And I mean, we talk about it all the time. There's a lot of mouths to feed, and if they're going to be running the ball a lot, I don't know how many touches he's going to get, but the having another guy with the potential to make plays for you never hurts your offense.
Yeah. He said the other day that one of the not the RAS scores. Not the RAS scores.
I was about to say,
right, you're gonna have to read this out, Dylan.
Lance Moore has a 10.00 on the relative athletic score. Math Bomb is RAS. The
What is
RAS
that?
scores. It basically compares all athletic testing numbers into a basic overall number grade. That's how a lot of people have decided who is going to be the next Saints player, because they like to draft way high in the RAS scores. But it basically takes like height, weight, 40, vert, broad, shuttle into everything into account to basically how athletic are you compared to the average wide receiver or average tight end.
And it's all relative to the position and the same height, weight.
It's like
similar
it's
size
big draft Twitter scouting analytics stuff.
Which is not always the science, because like one of my favorite players last year's draft, Devondre Sweat, had like a 4. And I was like, the dude balled out. Like, he's got the talent. I don't care if he can't run.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. It's a guideline. It's a piece of information, as the Saints would say.
Yeah.
Or other teams.
That's
a piece
all
of
it is.
information.
And I think whatever the Saints have used in their draft process has been similar or has yielded similar results to where they would like relative, I mean, if a person's athletic. You don't need one single score to tell you that. There's a lot of different ways to arrive at that conclusion. And so I think that that's really all that it has been for the Saints. Lance, you mentioned that you were going to reach out to Mason. Did you ever get a chance to do that yet?
I mean, I reach out to him via Instagram every now and again, check in on him, make sure he's okay. But we haven't had any, serious talks. I mean, it's the same with Rashid and Chris Olave. We text from time to time. And it's more of like a big brother-ish type thing, just checking in on them, making sure they're good, making sure they don't need anything. And if they ever have questions, they can always, come to me and ask me, because obviously I played the position in the place that they are, and I played it there for a long time. So just trying to be an ally for those guys. And I last training camp I spoke to Mason Tipton for a good little while, and just saw how sharp he was and how much he cared. I mean, you'd be surprised about guys that are no, I guess you wouldn't be surprised, but guys that are undrafted, the level of confidence that some of them have. It's like, well, wow, like, how does this guy so confident? Like, he hasn't done anything yet, but he is. I mean, he exudes that confidence, and he plays like that. And that's what you want from a guy that it's similar to what we were talking about with the quarterbacks and what they need to look like. You need to look like you belong. And having confidence in yourself is a major, major part in that.
Yeah. He talked about the other day about how, like, now that he's getting the opportunity during the preseason, which he didn't get to do last year, he's getting the opportunity to be like the primary read on plays and be the guy on a lot of plays with the opportunity he's getting. And I think that's one of the things that maybe has helped him like grow a lot, is because he said that he's not just serving a role. Like, he was a clear out guy a lot last year, which he said he had no problem with, like, happy to help other people get open, help the team, do all those other things, but now kind of getting the experience being the primary guy. I'm curious about how much it's going to move the needle about what his opportunities look like in the regular season.
Well, you would love for every single player to be the guy, but the reality is that's not how it works, right? Everybody's going to have a specific role, and making sure that you're an expert in that role is the most important thing. But experience, like you said, like he's getting now, being essentially the number one receiver with the second group. Now he's got that experience in the case that somebody or somebody's go down. He can go into the game and not be impacted by, well, man, I've never been here before. I don't know what this feels like. I don't know how to operate in this specific role. He's already got that experience. And I think that's why a main reason why preseason football is so important for a lot of these guys, particularly the guys that are kind of on the back end of the roster.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to ask you. There are, you look at Rashid Shaheed, Chris Olave, Brandon Cooks. They're all these smaller, speedier guys. That's how you would also describe Mason Tipton. What is the value of having another guy, a fourth guy on the roster? What does that do for the guys that are already on the roster? Is it redundant? What does his role look like in this offense?
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, it's we haven't seen them all together, and then you add in Devaughn Vele. Like, we don't know what that's going to look like. Sean Payton is super rotation heavy, right? Like the personnel grouping thing. I would imagine Kellen Moore is going to kind of roll with that a little bit, especially since we don't have huge numbers at the tight end position right now. I think we're going to see a lot of 11 personnel, which is 3 receivers, 1 tight end, 1 running back. So having 3 guys on the field every single play, there's going to be need for rotation, whether that's a 4-man rotation or a 5-man rotation is yet to be determined. But I can't tell you what that specific role is going to be. I do know that he's a playmaker and he's a guy that can make plays. But if you've got other guys in front of him, I don't know that a lot of balls are going to go his way. And that goes back to, again, of understanding his role and being the best he can possibly be at that role. And hopefully at some point that gets noticed, and then maybe that turns into opportunity for him with the football.
And I would also just add protection and the run game. This is why you have to have both. Because if you put somebody like him on the field and you can't get the ball to him and he's running past the defense, then what good is it going to do if you can't protect the quarterback and then you also can't run the ball established to run to set up things like play action plays that could benefit a Mason Tipton? You know what I mean? So they got some questions answered there because their run game has not been that hot in the preseason. For sure.
And speed kills. It's not like we have a bunch of small, slow receivers, right? Like the group as a whole before the trade was smaller, but those guys can fly. And a lot of times that means that corners usually are scared to death to get run by. So they're going to play a little bit further off. They're going to be a little bit quicker in their back pedal because they don't want guys running by them. So the routes underneath, the guys have an opportunity to win those routes a lot of times just out of the fear of the defenses getting the ball thrown over the top of their head. So it's one thing if you've got a group of small, slow guys that nobody has to worry about, them running by them. But the fact that all those guys can roll like that I think helps kind of sort of bridge the gap for them not having, until now, having a bigger body receiver. And now I think that, with Devaughn Vele, that kind of completes the group in totality of having everything that they need.
Yeah. One of the big things that Keith Williams talked about a lot this offseason was it's a separation game at wide receiver. And so if you've got guys that can separate, sometimes that will outplay the size. But I do think having the size when you can't separate, when you're not getting the separation, is obviously very valuable too. But just to add something that came from the coaching staff to what Lance was saying there. Sorry.
Well, and the separation thing is not always solely on the receivers, right? I mean, I see it all of the time, 3rd and 8, and I look on the field and all the receivers are running 9-yard routes. I'm like, what are we doing? Right. What are we doing here? This is high school football. It drives me crazy. Right. Or it's 3rd and 5 and let's run slants. Let's run a slant when they know the defense is going to be sitting. I don't know. I mean, I can go on a rant, but I'm not going to do it. We only have 2 minutes left. But I do think part of the separation game is associated with the plays and the plays that are being called and the timing at which those plays are being called. They go hand in hand. The coach has to call a great play. The receiver has to do a great job of running the route and getting himself open. Like, they work hand in hand.
Yep.
Yeah. I look at someone like Jalen Guyton. He's a speedier guy, stretched the field. He played 255 snaps for Kellen Moore in 2023 with the Chargers, and he got targeted 20 times. Like I feel like Mason Tipton's a guy that is going to be more on the field to stretch it out more than be like, all right, this is our number one guy. But again, that is still important to have and also have that guy be ready to step in and contribute in the slot, contribute wherever on the outside whenever they need it, because it is still a fairly unproven group of wide receivers in terms of like, we don't know what this is going to look like with them playing as a unit completely yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Fair.
I agree.
Well done, Dylan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. And well
That's
done.
the bottom line because Dylan Sanders said so. Listen.
Dylan Sanders also says you should be here on Saturday right after the Saints finish up their last preseason game, because we're going to be able to go live right whenever the game ends with our post-game episode. Is going to be fun, but we'll be right back here on Saturday, and then back on Thursday ready to talk more, New Orleans Saints. Thank you for listening to the Saints Squad Show. Check out me, Ross, John, and Lance on our social for the latest. And until then, be sure to, maybe check out a little channel called Locked On Saints for your latest on everything New Orleans Saints football. Thanks, guys, and have a great night.